Tēnei te mihi atu kia koutou. Ko tai mai nei ki te tautoko te kaupapa o tēnei rā. Ko ai au, ko Riki Parata toko ingoa. No mārua wai ahau. Te kaiari i taihau. Ahau i te Hokonui Rūnanga. Kia ora, my name's Riki Parata. I'm here on behalf of the Hokonui Rūnanga and also Reimagining Mataura. So we're going to do a team effort today. We've got Megan Reid, who's the Program Director for Reimagining Mataura, and Louise Dennison, who's the Program Coordinator for the kaupapa. And I'd also just first like to acknowledge the tangata whenua, the people of Te Waipounamu, Uruo, Araita Uru, and Takatimu Waka. Kia ora. So probably a little bit about us. And a bit of background for the Reimagining Mataura project. It was actually initiated from a few thoughts way back in 2018, pre-COVID days, and it was around how do we look at managing this entire system a little bit better. In those early days, it was Papatipu Rūnanga, so there's four of us down in Murihiku. Hokonui's one, Ora Kaparima at Coloc Bay. Awarua at Bluff and Waihopa and Invercargill. There was conversations with us and Environment Southland and Te Rūnanga Ngaitahu, but it was only focused on the catchment area, which is Toitoi's harbour or Ui. Since then, since COVID, and we also had a major flood in 2020, it kind of re-evaluated our thinking around let's extrapolate this to the entire catchment, which was no easy task, but that's the kind of vision that we came up with. And it was a very long-term vision, 150 years is kind of the base of it. So just a bit of background about the Mataura. It's 240 kilometres long. The headwaters is at the Eyre Mountains, which is just below Whakatipu Waimaori or Lake Whakatipu. It runs all the way through to Toitoi's, and it is very susceptible to flooding. It's actually in flood right now. We had snow and melt and a few days rain just over the last few days, and it's got up quite a bit. A huge Te Ata Tawhito, which is a traditional trail for our people, and the trails from down to the Auckland Islands, down to the Titi Islands, Ruapuke, and this was kind of the inlet here at Fortro's, Toitoi's, and up through to Tutaro, and there was a major settlement here, and this was kind of the gateway to the east coast, over through Clinton, Otipoti, Ototahi up that way, and it even opens up through to the Central Lakes, Hawea, Wanaka, and over to Manapodi and Tiano for the Pounamu trails. So hugely significant area, hugely a lot of our tipuna names around this area, a lot of our waka names around this area. This area here, this is the Waimea Plains, which we call Marua Wai, which means the flooded valley, or Maru Awai, the power of Maru, which is a water deity. So we knew back in the day that this was a heavily flooded area. So then we went and built towns along it. So a big part of our talk today is around collaboration with many different entities, but it's around bringing that mātauranga to it as well. Nowadays, a lot of agriculture, a lot of industry, urban development, not a lot of wetlands left in here. Same story all around New Zealand. But what's hugely significant to us is the Mataura Falls, or Te Au Nui Piha Piha Kanakana, which just represents the importance of kanakana as a taonga species here. This was back in the day. I think this was about 1870s, 1880s. This photo was taken. A couple of settlers. This is it today. We've got Alliance on one side, Alliance Meatworks, and the old paper mill on the other side. And this area here is this area here. That just goes you to show this was all dynamited. But our tipuna discovered this, Katimamoi tipuna, full of kanakana. A lot of birds up here. You went over to see what the birds are up to, and this was just filled with kanakana. So kanakana, the lamprey species, crouch lamprey that we have here in New Zealand. So this now is a mātaitai, which is a customary reserve area, and we do a lot of work here from the Hokonui Rūnanga. So just a little bit about the Reimagining Mataura project. Post all these floods, we all got together with the Southern Rūnanga and formed Reimagining Mataura as its own entity. We invited Te Rūnanga Ngaita, who was always there, and then we invited in some partners, Fonterra and Toitu Te Whenua, Linz, and they come on board as not only funding partners, but also decision makers for our project steering group. And that gave birth to our program and these two lovely ladies. So I'll get them to introduce yourself and talk more about the technical aspects.
Yeah. Kia ora koutou katoa. I'm Megan Reid and I'm the director for Reimagining Mataura. I also am the kohotu for Kaupapa Taiao at Hokonui. So I've got dual roles today. So Reimagining Mataura project, really the whole purpose was to think about how you can bring Western science and methodologies and Mataranga Māori together in a collaborative approach to think about how you could actually reimagine the Mataura. And that's the entire driving force. And as Riki said before, we're looking at a 150-year plus program of work. What does that look like? And how can we engage to ensure that we've got, that we can build cultural, environmental and economic resilience throughout the entire system. So really, what do we want to achieve? Like, we've got a real clear eye on the future. It's been interesting as we've been having wānanga with schools, community groups, farmers, industry, local central government, that there is very limited connection at the moment to the awa, which given the history of it seems like a crying shame. So when we're talking particularly to a tamariki, they have no sense of connection. They think it's dangerous. They think that the gravel's the problem, that, you know, it's all the narratives that they've been taught over multiple years, and that it's a dangerous space to be at. So what we're wanting to be able to look to do is test and trial different projects to see how we might be able to ensure that our communities today and into future generations can have a stronger connection and the aspirations that we all have. Because actually, when we talk to all your partners, the aspirations for the river and the awa are often aligned. How we do that is not often necessarily aligned, but actually the aspirations are. And we really want to inspire our people, communities to contribute with this meaningful mission. And to date, like, we had a wānanga of 130 people last week before, where all our partners were speaking about the particular projects we're working on and actually demonstrated some of that collaboration in practice. All right, program outline.
So this is our current program of work that we're working with. Workstream 1 is our site-specific projects. These projects are designed to test and trial river system improvement works within specific areas of the catchment. If deemed successful on these small scales, they will then be scaled for use across the larger catchment area. Workstream 2 is our data and information. We're aiming to pull together data and information from across the whole catchment and identify where we've got significant gaps in the data. Workstream 3 is our wetland establishment. We're aiming to develop case studies that will support wetland establishment within the catchment and create a framework that will support the decision making to do so. And Workstream 4 is our engagement schedule and approach. We have a really strong engagement approach that allows us to collaborate and engage with all of our stakeholder groups across industry, agency, and community. So just a little bit more detail about some of these aspects of our current program of work. So our Balfour project is a collaborative project that we're working on with E3 Scientific and a local farmer based out at Balfour on a sheep and beef farm. They're proactive members of one of the local catchment groups, and they're trying to create on-farm solutions that will have positive environmental and economic outcomes for their farm. The project is to create an approximately 1 hectare constructed wetland on their property that runs alongside the stream that you can see on your screen now. The location of the wetland is a significant stream on this property, as it's got multiple tributaries that run into the area and often floods during high rainfall events. It is hoped that this wetland design will hold back this water during these high rainfall events and help to filter out sediments. We've got this project underway currently. E3 Scientific are currently working on a wetland restoration plan for the site. This will then be given to the local farmers, who will then use their own machinery and tools to carry out the site works on their farm. A third site-specific project that we're working on at the moment is the Gore project, which is a collaboration that we're working on with Fulton Hogan, E3 Scientific, and Geosolve Consulting. It's only in its initial planning stage currently, but the aim is to incorporate Fulton Hogan's gravel extraction process with localized river restoration at the site, ultimately creating a rebraided habitat like this image that you can see on the screen. So natural. Over the next approximately 30 years, 40 hectares of land will be used for the gravel extraction, while gradually restoring it back to a braided river habitat in the process. This will be done by scraping the topsoil off, extracting the required gravel, and waiting on high flood events to rearrange the remaining loosened gravel. The river will then redistribute the gravel into wider braids, and over time regrade the channel to be wider and shallower to mitigate flood events from impacting the downstream township of Mataura. So this is an image that Fulton Hogan has mocked up as to what the site will eventually look like. Although it is very computer generated, it will be a much more natural braided river habitat eventually.
And just before I go on to the data information piece, what is really exciting about this is we had a conversation with Fulton Hogan. It was really about the consent, about their 40 hectares, and we said, yeah, no, we don't want to do it like that. And so they literally went back to the drawing board, and we were working with Doc as partners and our friend Come On, to ensure that literally gone back to the drawing board, what could we do? What would then be an economic benefit for them, but also ensure that we've got a sustaining braid plain rather than this lovely narrow channeled piece of river that just continually floods. You know, there's lots of teams and groups that are working on data and collecting more data. We've got some really great partners in Thriving Southland, creating lots of on-farm data sets to be able to understand what the current systems look like. Our view is that data should be in the public domain. It should inform decision making, and we should provide robust guidance on how you might use that data, because more data isn't always necessarily the answer. It's ensuring you've got the right data at the right place to inform the right decisions. So one of the first things we did is make sure that we've got a Reimagining Mataura website. Please come have a look. This keeps everyone up to date across the community around our engagements, what we're working on, how the projects are progressing, but it just gives us a clear avenue to be able to communicate. It has been a really key tool to engage with individuals and community groups that we probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to previously. On the website, there's a web viewer. So Lynn's as our partner, always good when I used to work there, is to, we've provided a adaptive and iterating web viewer. Effectively, it pulls together all the current data sets that we've got in the public domain across different spaces. At the moment, the layers include current resource consents, all the data from the Central Record of State Land, so which Crown agency manages on behalf of the Crown, floodplains data, local flood protection networks, soil types, groundwater management zones. And we continue to add and iterate that. We've got recent LiDAR data that's come through. Hydrological data piece that we've got a desktop exercise, because obviously nobody understands what we've actually got, where we need to fill any gaps.
Yeah.
And the wetland establishment, we've got a research project currently underway to look at current case studies, how we might create that data sets, and then that translating into a product that will geospatially map that, so we can actually see in real time on a map at place what data sets you require, what conditions, because apparently wetlands are the answer to everything, but not all wetlands are the same. And so being able to ensure that people are making the right kind of decisions at the right place. Future direction, big piece around governance. We're doing a piece around research around governance at the moment, just to see what kind of governance model we would look at for the entire system. I've got great support across our councils and central government. And then we've got a discussion document that I'll be drafting for next year, and another few years of funding to be able to see what's scaled as part of a budget bid.
So yeah, just a bit about a freshwater program at Hokonui Rūnanga. We've got an environmental arm, which purely focuses on biosecurity, biodiversity, and environmental and cultural planning. but we'll just talk about some of the Waimāori or freshwater programs. So we do a lot of taonga species monitoring, kāki tuna, inanga, kanakana, and we also do our own cultural monitoring, which is another huge tool in itself. Similar to State of the Takiwā, Gao Tupits Mahi is something you might be familiar with. Some of our kai mahi out on the whenua doing their stuff, loads of tuna surveys. And there's another project we've joined with Reimagining Mataura around restoring a tributary going in. Summary.
It's us.
That's us.
We get told off by Sunny.
Yeah. Just to summarise, this is a hugely collaborative effort, and really want to emphasise that. We can't do this alone. These are only some projects of a much larger system, but we're hoping that collaboration through everybody will start creating that education and the tools to then be moved forward. So we're really hoping this is the small snowball that creates that bigger effect. And yeah, just again, if you want to talk to any of us, we're here for the day, or jump on our websites, or feel free to come and talk to us. Kia ora.
Yep.